Hello, everyone, and welcome, and thank you for being here. My name is Zeinab Moussa. I am a clinical counselor I practice at iAmerica. It's a behavior and mental health. And today we are going to work. Sorry, hold on. So today we're going to work on emotional regulations, how to work with our kids, and how to cope with feelings. And hopefully you're going to enjoy these activities. All right, let's get started. And just a reminder, this presentation is intended for educational purpose only and should not be considered as legal, financial, or professional advice. The content provided is designed to inform and educate, and the viewers should seek specific guidance for from a qualified professional for their particular needs. Just as a reminder that really these are not for diagnosis, these are just for education and to have fun with some of these activities. Okay. So let's dive in. I apologize. Let me just move this out of the way. All right. So today what we're going to start with is when we're working with children, first we have to learn how to support them, right? They are of their own selves. So it's really important to learn what supporting our children looks like. Each child has their needs. Each child has their own way of thinking and seeing things. And our goal is to understand and help them and support them. So emotional regulation is a skill. Skills that are set. There are a set of strategies that are learned. These are not just things that happen, right? We learn them through observation, through experience in school, through experience in our environment. So the more we learn about these emotions, the healthier we're going to be able to react. So the idea is that through the experience, you can help your child manage their emotions and stay in control of the reaction. And hopefully with these activities that I'm going to present, that's going to be your takeaway. So number one is why it's important, right? Why do we want to do all this? The reason is because self-awareness. Self-awareness is a part of recognizing who I am. How do I identify? What's my identity? Who am I as a person? And in early children, because they are surrounded by that me concept, which is a healthy thing. It's a part of life. But we want them to make sure that they have their identity filled with positivity and critical thinking. So that's why self-awareness is important. So through these activities, you're going to know the goal is to notice and to name your feelings using correct language. When I'm angry, using those healthy words to express my feelings. So allowing the child to talk to you about their feelings, using the feeling words is going to be good as they experience the environment around them. So a person does not, as a reminder, a person does not control how they feel, right? We don't control how we feel. We control how we react. So I walk into a situation, we just feel certain ways. Our emotions come up. Sometimes it's triggered from certain things that have happened to us. Sometimes it's triggered from our past. And not all triggers are bad. This is another thing. Sometimes happy feelings come up through triggers. So the goal is that when an emotion is triggered or comes to surface, I have to learn how to react with it, how to work with it. So some of those strong emotions like anger is one of them. I have to learn that when I feel angry, what am I going to do? So the goal is through supporting our children that we teach them to seek support. Each child should know who their support system. A lonely child is not going to be healthy. You have to teach your child that you have a whole support system, whether it's your school social worker, your teachers, us, your parents, your aunts, uncles, the people you trust and love. Your child should know that this is your support system. If you can't talk to me, these are the people you can talk to. And the reason we do that is because of safety, right? We want our children to come to us that there's no limits at all, no limits. and to remind them that they are not bad children, that sometimes we do bad behaviors, right? That negative behavior, and we can learn from these behaviors. And the more they understand that we support them and we love them, because, you know, and we'll help them to get through things, the more emotionally regulated they're going to be to come to us and express what's going on and how they're feeling. And then another way is teach them to write it, draw it, figure out what works for you. How are you gonna express your feelings in a healthy way? You might try more than one. Yeah, sometimes you journal more and sometimes you don't journal at all. Yeah, that's okay. Sometimes you like to draw, sometimes you like to talk. It just depends what works for each of us. Each of us have our own way of expressing our feelings, and that's okay, as long as it's in a safe way, of course, right? Keep that in mind. And we always have the non-negotiables, right? So I like to remind with kids that if you're going to sit alone, right, it has to be productive. You know, you can't just sit in your, not that you can't, we don't want them to just sit in their room and, you know, dwell into that. We really want to use productive, that you really are expressing. What are you doing to express your feeling? You know, you had a bad day at school. Okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to focus on that? And that's the idea, is we're working with the child, we're understanding, and we're supporting them. And the more you use positive language, the healthier your child is going to react with you. And then we have, of course, the physical activity, getting them up in Michigan, our weather, right? A lot of us parents, we have a hard time. What are we going to do on those difficult winter days? You have to get creative at home. What are we going to do, from fun activities to drawing? And I like when, you know, when my kids were young, is what I did. You had a box, right? And it's on the dining room table, and it's always on the dining room. Yeah, go color, go do, write, whatever you want. The idea is to have this stuff also available. We can't just say, oh, go write, and there's no pens around, right? We have to make it available. That is the number one thing. And start early. The earlier you start, the healthier it's going to be, and it's going to be it's going to become a behavior. And then we have activities like listening to music with them, meeting them where they're at. And the idea, when I'm supporting the kid, keep this in mind. When I'm supporting my child, I can't be here and they're there, right? I gotta meet them where they're at. So what that means is, so if they're feeling right here, they're not feeling so good, I don't want to say to them, oh, just get over it, be happy, you know, go play outside. No, meet them where they're at, validate that feeling, identify that feeling, recognize that feeling, and then say, okay, how can I support you? How can I be here for you? What do you need from me? We don't need to solve it for them. We need to support them, and then we get them to solve it for themselves. That's going to be healthier in the long run. And then another one, keep this in mind. I get so many parents, right? Sleep, 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 sleep. If your child is not sleeping well, emotions are going to be all over the place. They're going to be irritable. They're going to be short-tempered. They're going to be unhealthy. They're not going to have appetite to eat. When you don't sleep, it's not good. You have to have a good sleep schedule. You got to go to bed at the same time, and you got to come out of the bed at the same time. And yes, of course, around holidays, you know, we all break habits. It's normal, but you got to get back on those habits of a sleep schedule. You have to have a good sleep schedule. Otherwise, the expectation of, if I'm putting all this expectation on my child and they haven't slept well, you know, they may have only slept 1 hour, 2 hours, that's not going to be healthy. And same thing same thing depending on what age they are. If you know, if they didn't take their nap and I'm taking them shopping and they can't stop crying, I have to be genuinely honest with myself when it comes to emotions and what my child needs when I'm supporting them. And then same thing. So this is another one. I always like to do this with all my clients. I like to do the conversational map. And the reason for that is, unfortunately, in a good way, I remove all expectations that people should know things, mainly our young ones. I like to set the boundaries, set the line of what a conversation looks like. What is the expectation of a conversation? A lot of teachers do this in classrooms. They set that conversation. What do I expect when we talk? What's the expectation of a conversation? It's good to do that at the beginning of a good activity, and to say, you know, this is what we intend to do. And this helps the a child to understand what conversations look like if you're having a hard time with them, and just going through it. There's many of this online. There's so many. This is just one of them, but there's many maps on there. I just grabbed the most friendliest one, but there's many of them that you can find. And of course, yeah, you can build your own, right? You can always make your own, what a conversation looks like, have that good. This is a really nice activity to do it with the child. You can get one online, you can make it your own, and then make it look really good. This is a very good understanding of family values, right? What do we value as a family? That respect. Okay, so respect is having healthy conversation, that back and forth, and this is the expectation. I'm putting it into place. And this will help for the child to understand expectation and understanding. I repeat myself, but all right. So this is what we call the primary emotions. So why are emotions important, right? Because emotions, they can, if you let your emotions control you, they will do whatever they want, right? They go from 0 to 1. But the more I learn to understand my primary emotions, those main emotions, that's the anger, the fear, the joy, happy, surprised, sad, disgusted, interested, sadness, and some with the shame also. So these are what we call the emotions. These are what we all feel. And the more I learn to understand them, then I can learn to manage them, right? So the goal is, I'm going to do the activity in a little bit, and the goal is validate, use other language. So if I feel angry, okay, let's sit down. Let's talk about this anger. Where's the anger coming from? Okay, maybe I'm mad. Yeah, what are you mad at? I'm mad, I got a bad grade on my math test, right? Okay, so what can we do? Maybe we need to study more. Let me see, how can I help you? That's supporting. What can we do? Maybe we need to study more. Maybe we need to talk to the teacher, right? Where are the challenges that are coming from this feeling of anger or mad, that are maybe where they are from school? What's happening? So the goal is you're expressing the emotion, and you're understanding what's affecting that emotion. And then I say, what am I going to do about it, right? Am I going to sit and yell and scream and fight? No, I'm going to figure out a good critical plan of how I'm going to deal with this. What's the best way to deal with this? Maybe somebody's bothering me at school, right? I've been coming home and I'm feeling sad and upset. This is an emotion that needs to be addressed, slowing down and teaching the child, okay, let's reflect what's going on. Every time you come from school, you're not at your best. So we can review. Maybe they're not sleeping well. Maybe somebody's bothering them at school. Same thing. What do we need to do? We want to give that power, that when we have these feelings, that we do have power to do something about it. A lot of kids, when I work with them and we talk about these feelings, they're like, so I can control them. I'm like, yeah, these are just emotions. Emotions, they come and go, right? I may not control what I feel. This is how I genuinely feel. I control how I react. I can sit and scream and fight with everyone, or I can say, I need to talk to my teacher. This kid keeps bothering me and I need to handle it, right? So that's critical thinking. That's the way to handle our emotion. Our emotions are information. That's the best way. Your child, their emotions, they are information into what's happening in here. So you can learn to support them and express. And then, yes, another one is sorry, I don't know why I said yes, but another one is, keep this in mind, is they have to be ready to talk. It's not about poking and poking, but it's about letting them know that I am here for you. And when you're ready, you can write it for me. You can draw it for me. You can text it to me. You can write it to me. However you prefer, you tell me what you need for us to work this out. If I notice my child every day, they're feeling sad and down and they don't want to do anything, right? Let's figure out where this emotion is coming from together, because I'm here for you. And then, just as a reminder, when you are working with emotions, you are building, these are behaviors, these are skills you are building. As a reminder, it takes 30 to 60 days to implement behaviors and to really see growth and change. So it is time consuming. It's consistency one day after the other. So if I'm fixing the sleep, I have to really wait consistently 30 to 60 days until I see the full results of this behavior. So keep that in mind. Patience is number one. Patient, patient. And if you feel like you're, take a break. Yeah, go to give yourself a break. You can say, you know, mom can't deal with this right now, or dad, you know, I feel I'm upset. I need to gather my thought. Yeah, go ahead. That's okay. We're all humans, right? And that will also show emotional regulation to our children, that sometimes we need a minute to think and to process, and this will help. And then same thing, this is another feeling wheel. They're called feeling wheels, emotional wheels, wheel of emotion. You will find hundreds online. I mean, you can order stickers, magnets. Amazon has many of them. And they're not expensive. Some of them are for free. You can just print them out, take screenshot. And the idea is you're building that vocabulary and being mindful of the age group, right? I'm working with a 5-year-old. I'm going to have a simpler vocabulary, right? So I just want to be mindful of the age group I'm working with when I'm building that vocabulary to come to with the emotions and the go. This one is just a nice, we use it a lot in therapy. It's an anger thermometer. And the idea is that you write all the feelings down, and you're going to get all of this. So you're going to write all the feelings and the feelings, and then what I can do. So when I feel angry, so we can start from the top, like number 10. So when I feel angry, I can show you this one. Let me show you. You can fill it in. So you get a wheel of emotion or any of them, and you just fill it in from like 1 to 10. 10 is usually the anger, that's the anxiety, the high emotions. So you would fill it in with anger, and then next to it, you would say, okay, so if I feel angry, okay, when I feel angry, I can do. And then you can write what you can do. So I can count to 10, I can talk, I can write, I can journal. Again, we're teaching that emotional regulation of when I feel this emotion, I can do this. And same thing, many of this is online too. So this one is, I like to show it to parents because grief cycle, grief is real. Grief is it can look different in children depending what we're going through. They can grieve over loss. So loss can be the loss of a pet, the loss of a teacher, even when they're transitioning from one class to another, or if their teacher goes and you get a substitute, kids will feel lost. Other losses are depending on what they're feeling. So you want to validate what their loss is, and you can feel. So once you see that emotion of anger, same thing. I need to sit down and evaluate where that anger is coming from, what's going on, and is it linked to other things, the underlining. And the more we talk about our feelings, you're going to learn that how I feel is what I think, and how I think is how I behave. So the more I understand where the emotion and what's bothering me in my environment, the healthier my actions are gonna be. So this one is just a quick, the grief cycle, what grief looks like, and just to be mindful of it. Many kids have lost their grandparents. Many kids have lost family members. Maybe we've moved. You can grieve over the loss of friends. If you move to a new place, you got to figure out a solution how we're going to do this. Maybe we can connect with them online. We can send messages. Maybe we can visit, right? We were working together on how to support the child and even ourselves too when it comes to grief and loss. And then, so this one is a quick, another activity. This one is very popular. It's everywhere. When I say, so if you talk to your school social worker, your school psychologist, a lot of them already have some of these activities. And then of course, we have online resources, many of them, you can print them out for free. And then of course you can make one your own, so have fun with it. And then this one is, the idea is to understand anger, that anger, sometimes people see anger, right? They see that frustration, they see that irritability. But when we learn to break down anger and address it, that then we learn that there's more to anger, that the feeling of loneliness, the feeling of maybe I'm nervous, I'm worried, overwhelmed with emotions. There might be other things, right? So you can use sentences, you can use other vocabulary, you can use the emotional wheel. The idea is same thing. I'm trying to validate and recognize the feeling and where it's coming from, because anger gets a bad label, right? But anger is one of the most important things for our children, because that's what causes change. You're angry because you don't like what something is happening, right? Maybe I feel like, I'm disrespected, and all I do is get angry, then I get in trouble. But, my friend keeps telling me mean words, right? I need to recognize that, okay, I'm getting angry. I'm right. It's not that I'm wrong, but there's a healthier way to do this. How am I going to deal with maybe somebody that's being disrespectful and I'm losing control? So how am I going to manage that? And we start building those skills. And I'm hoping that you're starting to see, right, that the idea is when we learn to express our feelings, we really will learn to navigate our actions and best way solutions, which will lead to critical thinking and healthy adults. And then this one's just a quick one. Another one, we use this for anxiety and the nervousness, same thing. Anxiety is, so there is something called general anxiety that you can diagnose. And sometimes it's normal. All of us have it, right? Mostly every child is gonna, one point or another in their life, right? And adults, they're gonna face some type of anxiety that they're experiencing. Maybe it's about a test or something new they're about to do, first day of school, right? So we teach them through these experiences that it's normal to have anxiety and how to walk through it, right? We don't want to diminish and say, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not like you haven't been there. You've been to school. You were there last year. No, we want to validate. Yeah, it's the first day of school. You're going to be meeting a new teacher. It's understandable that you feel nervous. It's understandable that you're anxious, you might be overwhelmed, maybe you had a hard time sleeping yesterday. Oh yeah, all this is understandable. And then we set in the reminders that to same thing, keep in mind that, right, that this is going to be, you're growing older, you're coming into second grade, third grade. So we're using that positivity to encourage the child, and we're validating, we're identifying, and then we're saying, okay, I'm here to support you. And we're using that good language to redirect. And if you come across children that are negative, pause them and tell them what's a different way we can rephrase that sentence. You don't have to do it for them. Teach it to do it for themselves. So if you notice they're pretty hard on themselves, right? So pause them and say, you know what's a better way I can say this sentence, right? And then you can help them a little, but they really should come up with their own and let them think for themselves. And this will help to regulate emotion and the feeling of nervousness and what they might be going through. And this one, same thing. I just got them online from Etsy, and I have all the resources because I like to give credit to wherever I get this stuff. But again, there's so many free stuff online that you will find them. And again, you can make your own. And then this one is about negative thoughts into positive thoughts. So negative thoughts are, we go automatically to them. It's like, it's a magnet, right? It's for some reason or another, kids go there. During the age group, kids they blame themselves for everything. So whether something is good or bad, they think it's their fault. That's just a part of their brain function and who they are in these years of development. And that's why if there is something happening at home, there is a stressor at home, you don't want to pretend like it's not happening. It's better to validate what's happening and then to say what's the best way to deal with this by letting the child know that it's not your fault. Everybody fights, or if there's a stressful situation happening in the family, something is going on, you want to identify that negative thinking and you want to recognize your negative thoughts, where they're coming from. If there's a situation, is there something going on? And then we redirect it to positive thinking, healthier way to think. Positive thinking does not mean I live in like la la land, everything is happy. No, positive thinking, what it means is I look at a problem and what's the best way to handle the situation? What is going to be the healthiest way to deal with what's going on? And that's what positive thinking is. And then, and the more we do this, then it becomes like regular, right? It becomes second nature. It becomes our own language, that positive language. And then this is another activity. This one is also, it's everywhere. When I say same thing, your social worker might have them, your school psychologist, a lot of them use these. They might give you a free copy. And this one is what we call within my control. When you notice your child has great amount of nervousness and they're overwhelmed and they think about too many things, and you're like, how do I help my child? Same thing, you got to sit them down and teach them to focus on what's within my control and what's outside my control. So if it's within my control and you write things down, right? If it's within my control and if it's outside my control. If it's outside my control, right? I can't control what the weather. I can't control my teacher. I can't control my friends. I can't control how my friends feel. These are not things I can control. I can control how I react. I can control how I speak to my teacher. I can control that. Yeah, it's raining outside. Okay, inside, maybe I can do a puzzle, right? The goal is to teach the child what is within your control, what I can influence, and what I can do to manage this situation. If it's outside my control, the goal is I got to start learning to let it go, right? That's the idea, is the more you do this and you ask, is this within your control? If your friend doesn't want to be your friend, right? Is this within your control? No. What's within your control? How I react, I can respect their choices, and is it hard sometimes? Oh yeah, these are real life stuff that we're going through and they can be stressful, but the idea is we're teaching them to focus on the things that are within my control. I need to focus on my schoolwork. And the goal is the more they do this as they become older and they're going to go to high school, they're going to go to college. We don't want them wasting energy on focusing on all the nonsense that have nothing to do with anything. And then they're neglecting their stuff, right? Because they've never learned it. So that's the idea. You're teaching them, you have to focus on the things within your control that you can influence choices. Yeah. And then this is a part of the growth mindset. Many teachers, same thing. This is a very popular kind of language that is being used right now. The idea is to have growth mindset, not the idea of I can't do it. I don't want to do this. This is new. I don't want to try it. The idea is to give that child experience, to make mistakes. It's okay to fail. It's okay to make a mistake. I can try different things. There isn't one way of doing things. There isn't just the black and white, you're wrong, I'm right. This is really one-way thinking, and we're trying to advance our children to have a growth mindset and critical thinking and seeing things from different perspectives, seeing things from, like one time I had children that, they think their parents are mean, right? And then I'll be like, okay, so what do you mean by mean? Like, and then when we sit and look at things I tell them, look at things from your dad's perspective, or look at things from your mom's perspective, all the things she has to do. They start having that growth mindset that, oh yeah, my mom's not being mean, but I have to be in bed because, she has work, my dad has work, my parent has work, my grandparents, whoever's the guardian, right? They start looking at things from other people's perspective, and their growth mindset starts growing, seeing things and trying out things, even if I'm afraid, right? Fear is good, that's the alertness. But also I can't just answer to all my fears, right? I got to try things. So I might have anxiety every time I speak in front of public, but I'm not going to just sit and hide away, right? I'm still going to try my best. If I make a mistake, it's okay. Fix your mistake. What's the big deal, right? So we're having that growth mindset to experience, play sports that you never tried, try things. Yeah, and it's okay if you do it one time, two time. It's about having that growth mindset to experience the things that are available to you, going to new clubs, seeing what's available in your school, and things of that nature. And then this is just some questions, questions to help develop that growth mindset that you can utilize. And then same thing, you're going to get a copy of that. And there's many of them online. If you just put the questions, same thing, if you ask your school social worker, psychologist, if you have anyone, they usually have a lot of this stuff. They might be willing to help you if you're like, I like what I'm hearing and I want to implement. And same thing, you want to put this, hang it, make activities, put it on your fridge, this is a part of our family values. Another one is, instead of saying this is our house rules, use family values. Family values become a part of our identity, who we are as people. When we are a part of our identity as a family is to have growth mindset, and we ask each other questions, and we're respectful towards each other's experiences and thoughts, and we're not using that judgment of you're wrong, I'm right. We tend to have stronger values, who we are as a family, and then that goes out into the community, and we're able to really sit down and talk with anyone, any culture, any religion, all of this is all gonna go out as they become healthy young adults. And then, so today, this is the activity. So when I'm feeling, I can. So the goal is, you pick an emotion. Okay, so today, this is what it has to do with emotional intelligence, emotional regulation. So we'll pick an emotion. So you take an emotion and you say, all right, so tell me the last time you felt angry, or they may have already experienced something you're working on. So, and then you get a paper and you just say, okay, I want you make a box. I like to make a box, and they can write the feeling. Okay, so you can write the feeling, or they can draw themselves, draw yourself physically. How did you look? How did you feel? How did your face feel, right? When we're angry, we tense up and we're face angry, and then the idea is what you're doing is
come listen to this talk.
And then same thing, you're trying to connect them physically, mentally, and emotionally. We want them to connect with their physical body, because that's the action also. And then, so what you do is, so you write the emotion down, and then you say, what are the coping skills? And then you pick the ones that work for you. So I just wrote down like counting to 10. This one is talk. Always, depending on who. So if I'm working with younger kids, when I use the word like who you're gonna talk to, you can actually put their name and say, these are the 3 people you can talk to, and you would prepare the other person in case, because that's a part of their support system. So same thing, depending who you're working with, you want to be specific also, that we want to talk to the people we love and trust. And then another one is with anger, same thing, because anger is a strong emotion. We want to ask ourselves, where's the anger coming from? Is there a situation? Is there something bothering me? And then you end up, and then you color it and you make it look really good, right? And you end up with a beautiful activity that they can use. You hang up, and when that emotion comes up, you want to teach them to come back to the activity and say, okay, I can see you're angry. I can see something's bothering you. Why don't you pick something from this to do? And hopefully, depending on the age group, they will pick it and they will do it. And same thing in the beginning. Yes, in the beginning, these things seem silly, and they seem like very childish, but I promise you're gonna even love them. Okay, but you have to give the stuff a chance. It's the simple stuff that matter the most. The brain doesn't like complicated things. The brain wants simplicity. We need to sit down every single day and check in with ourselves, ask ourselves, how am I feeling? What's going on? Something bothering me? How does my body feel? Am I holding stress somewhere? So that same thing, I'm checking in with myself, I'm checking in with the emotion, I'm checking in with these feelings. And then another one is, and then this one is a book. I like it. I just got it off of Amazon. Same thing. I use things that you'll find everywhere. Okay, so there's so many of them. This one I just got off of Amazon. I can't remember how much it was, so my apologies. But there's many of them, and you can print your own. You can make your own book. So it's called I Know What to Do. And the idea is that we're giving the child the idea of, you can control this. You can. Our emotions do not control us. But more we learn, we're going to learn to manage these emotions with skills and expressing. And then as a reminder, yes, it takes time. It's a behavior. It's a skill you're learning. The more you implement it, the better it will be. And if you notice that some of the behaviors are too much, there's nothing wrong with sitting with the with a mental health behavioral specialist and saying, I need your opinion. Maybe I'm dealing with more than just, maybe there's other things I might be dealing with. And it's only fair that I need to know what I'm dealing with. So we want to be aware of other matters that might be going on with our children. And the therapist, sometimes you only need, 6 to 12 sessions to help regulate all of this. And then this is the one with the check-in. Like we were saying, the idea is to check in with the self. Each person can make their own check-in. So check in with the child, check in with the self. The idea is to pause, right? Take a deep breath. And then you ask, tell me how you're feeling today. Or, and then you can also share your own feelings, right? Today, I had a tough day at work and I'm feeling very stressed. I just want to make dinner and I just want to sit and enjoy and relax for a little bit. So the idea is we're pausing, we're using that language, that positive language of this is how I feel and this is what I'm going to do to take care of these feelings, to better regulate my emotions. So I'm not angry and fighting and yelling with everyone because no one is listening. I'm really communicating and talking to each other and figuring out ways to create harmony in the house. Where we're all working together instead of like fighting each other with children. So that's the idea, is we want to learn to support them. And then another one is ask specific questions, right? I didn't write that one in, but ask. So when they come from school, it's not good to just say, oh, how was your school day? Or what'd you do? You have to be specific, like, what'd you do in math? Did you turn in your homework in math class? What did you learn something new? How did recess go? How was lunch? Did you like your lunch? So you're having real conversation. You're pausing and you're having those good, healthy conversations of tell me. Kids don't like the words what, who, and where. They shut down on us when we ask questions. So that's why we like to use tell me what happened. Tell me what you did in math class. Tell me, who did you play with today? What'd you do on the playground? So tell me. And that to them, it just sounds less judgmental. And we're giving them that power to tell us. So that's the idea. Again, we're supporting them through telling. And then this one, just extra information for everybody to just be mindful of early warning signs of mental health issues, and just to be a reminder. Just because if a child is going through, whether there's depression or anxiety or other mental health conditions, it does not mean that there's something wrong at home. Sometimes it's genetics, sometimes it's environmental, sometimes it's all of it together. So the goal is to really try to stay away from the stigma of mental health and thinking that, if a child has depression or is facing depression or they're going through it, that means, something's happening at home. We do not think that. That is not true. I promise you. Sometimes depression happens from different ways. It's no one's fault. Sometimes it's genetic. Sometimes it's just the child needs to learn to work things out. So these are just to be mindful of when children are pulling away, having low energy or no energy, feeling like nothing matters. They're very dismissive. Everything is fine. They use that word a lot. Feeling like nothing matters. No one loves them is another one that I hear. Feeling helpless, like there's no hope, like everything is gloomy. And they'll say like, oh, what does it matter? Like, so we're working to understand some of these things. Behavioral problems, usually the anger, getting upset, they don't want to listen, they're constantly worried about the worst thing. I had one client, many children will have this, where they're constantly worried at school and they're misbehaving at school. And when we work with them, we learn that they're afraid for one reason or another. They think their parents are not going to come back and pick them up. And once we address that, their whole behavior changes, right? In the beginning, we have to remind our kids that when I drop you off, I'm going to be at work 3:30. I'm going to be here. I'm going to pick you up. And if, of course, if someone else is picking up, grandma or aunt or whoever's going to pick them up, they need to know a beginning and an end when it comes to worry, if the child's having worry situations. So talk to them, ask them, what's your fear? What's going on? Where's all these behaviors coming from? I want to understand. And then when they're yelling and fighting, they really are asking for help. Sometimes children do not have the language to express their mental health. So they don't know, oh, I'm depressed. It doesn't work like that. But us as parents, we can pick up on these things that, okay, the child, you know, depending what they're going through, we want to be mindful of how do I support them. And then same thing, if you notice any of these, keep in mind, you really should connect with a professional and just get evaluated. Get some people, you have your school social worker is a good place to start. I like school social workers, you know, and you have your insurance, you can call your insurance and they will help you in case you notice some of these things. And then another one is thinking of harming yourself or others. So thinking of harming yourself, thinking of suicide, I don't want to shock anyone, but it does happen with children very young. They think about hurting themselves, and the reason is not because they're not happy. A lot of the times they just a lot of the times they have these thoughts because they feel like nobody understands them. Like they'll tell me this a lot, like they don't understand me. My mom doesn't understand, my dad doesn't understand me. And then once we start breaking down how valuable they are to us, then they start understanding, oh, well, okay, this is a serious thing. And then the goal, same thing, nothing to fear, right? Their thoughts. We have thousands of thoughts. Kids have, all of us, we have thousands. We have 20,000 thoughts a day. I think when research, I can't remember what research, we have thousands of thoughts. We're not going to listen to every single thought. We need to listen to the thoughts that are productive and that are going to put into action towards our goal, right? What am I trying to achieve today? And that's what good mental health is. Yes, we have thousands of thoughts, but what thoughts are you going to listen to? And then this is just, I like that quick calming down activity. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. List things you can, and same thing, this is, many of it is online. The idea is to learn to calm the self down in a healthy way. So list things you can see, list things you can feel, list things you can hear, and list 2 things that you can smell, and then list 1 thing that I like about myself, right? And some people like to use taste, so it depends how you like it. And the idea is same thing. I'm teaching to calm myself so I can deal with what's going on, what's in front of me, where's this coming from. And the more I learn to take care of myself, when the crisis happens, then I'm able to deal with it. If I'm neglecting myself every single day, a crisis happens and the worst scenario happens. But if when I'm taking care of myself every single day, I'm checking in with my feelings, I'm expressing, I'm journaling, I'm doing activities, I'm eating healthy, I'm sleeping, I'm in good shape, something happens, I'm able to deal with it, right? So that's why mental health is important. Mental health is not a luxury, right? Self-care is not a luxury. Self-care should be a way of life. How are you taking care of your mental health today? What are you going to do today? That's what you need to tell yourself. All right. And this is the end of our presentation. I just want to thank you everybody for being here, and I appreciate it. Hopefully all these activities are helpful. Remember, have fun with them. And another reminder, there is no right or wrong way. It's about doing these activities over and over and over, and then they become a skill. You should repeat these activities over and over and over. And as a reminder, we do not want to correct, we want to support and our children through these emotions. And then if you need anything, please reach out to us. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Bye.